Hey starters! Today on Starting Ideas, we're interviewing the co-founders of Phoresa, Charlie Corredor and Mark Borysiak. Together, these two researchers spun out their research successfully from the University of Washington and created their own company. Phoresa is taking on the medical establishment by lowering the amount of time it takes to diagnose infectious diseases to under 10 minutes. This is some amazing research and an amazing business proposition. Let's go chat with them. I'm here with Mark and Charlie of Phoresa, and please just tell me a little bit about your professional and academic backgrounds that led you to this point.
Yeah, so my name is Charlie Corredor. I am the co-founder and current CEO of Phoresa. Previous to this, I completed my PhD in chemical engineering, nanotechnology, and molecular engineering here at the University of Washington in Seattle. And on top of this, during my PhD, I completed a business certificate that allowed me to do a couple things: understand how we can translate a technology that we developed during my PhD, while being able to understand the steps that is need to take to make a company a big enterprise. So that's what we do at Phoresa, making a simple, affordable, and sensitive test for all infectious diseases.
Okay.
And my co-founder, Mark Borysiak.
Yeah. So I started off, I did my undergraduate, I'm from Ohio originally, I did my undergraduate at Ohio State, and I pretty much fell into science on accident. Like, I was always pretty good at chemistry and math and things like that, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I actually started out a medical student, pre-medical undergraduate student, and then I realized that I didn't really like blood and things like that. So I switched majors like 3 or 4 times, then ended up landing on chemical engineering and just kind of went with it. And then when I was trying to figure out what to do after undergraduate, I applied to a bunch of jobs. I actually didn't get any interviews or anything like that. So I also applied to graduate school and luckily got into a few, and decided to come out here to Seattle, University of Washington, and completed my PhD over the past 5 years with Charlie. I'm actually in this lab with a great group of people, and ever since graduation have just decided to continue running with what we've been working on because I think it's really interesting, and I think we can have a huge impact on people. So.
Awesome. So now that we're thoroughly intimidated by your PhDs and professional credentials, so Phoresa, what is Phoresa making? What is your widget?
So Phoresa is making the next generation of testing for infectious diseases, right? Mm-hmm. We taking what we're trying to do is develop a simple test that has the sensitive needs, meet the sensitivity that doctors actually want. We actually using all the same technology that the pregnancy style test actually uses, but on top of that, we have a proprietary technology that was developed here at the University of Washington, the Jonathan Posner's lab. And what the technology entitles is that we apply in a small electric field with, by doing that, what we do is concentrate and separate the stuff that we don't want to detect. And by concentrating the pathogen that we're trying to detect, we increase the sensitivity of the current pregnancy-style test, which is one of the biggest problems that doctors actually want to have in their clinics.
Yeah. So to actually give a little bit of background about how these tests are done right now. So lots of people, they go into a clinic, they don't feel well, they want to get diagnosed, they're not sure what's wrong with them, so they walk in, the doctor will take a sample, and they usually send it out to a laboratory, which is probably, so in Seattle, there's probably downtown, the UW Medicine has lots of laboratories, but in places like Wyoming and Idaho, more rural areas, they're actually putting them on a plane and mailing them to Denver, Colorado, and things like that. So essentially, there's no very efficient way to diagnose people right now because it's all being sent out to central laboratories.
So right now, the turnaround time on, I swab my cheek, a sample is taken, I'm in a rural area, even in the US, it gets shipped out. What's the turnaround time on that for diagnosis?
I mean, based on the numbers...
The fastest is 48 hours, but it can take 2-3 weeks even. So there's quite a bit of delay in times of turning these around. And you said in America, so if you kind of zoom out to the entire world and developing countries, there's even huger issues associated with this where there's not even any laboratory facilities. You have very small buildings without electrical power, without running water. And these people still need diagnoses and treatment too. So there's a huge lack of testing that can be done at the site where the patient is at. So that's what we're trying to do is these pregnancy tests, which can be run anywhere. So you walk into the clinic, within 5 or 10 minutes, you get the answer without any electrical power, without any running water, very, very resource efficient, essentially.
No laboratory, no electricity, everything is completely encapsulated.
That's 100% true. However, as I said, our test will require a small electrical field or a current that can be provided by a battery from your watch.
Yeah.
Right?
So there'll be a very small reader associated with it.
Okay.
But essentially, the core technology is within this little cartridge.
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking like these pregnancy tests do exist today, and they do for some diseases. But the issue is that these tests aren't very accurate for a lot of diseases, which is the problem. So if you go in for instance, for a sexually transmitted disease, the test, you're not being tested with one of these because they're just not accurate enough right now. So that's what Charlie was mentioning earlier, is we developed a method that makes these tests very, very accurate and much more able to give clinicians good results to give better treatment.
Okay, so what's the time frame then is for this one is just when you're in the seeing the doctor? Or
So imagine that you go to the doctor right now, right? The doctor will take a sample from you because you have a sore throat. You don't know what it is. You're debating between it is a strep, it's not a strep. So what the doctor actually will do is take a sample out of you, take this sample, put it in a small vial with a solution to dilute the sample, the saliva that we was able to collect, and take this small solution and put it in our test. Then it will press a button and it will take 10 minutes, only 10 minutes for the test to run and get a sensitive result that the doctor will feel confident for them to treat you as a patient and being able for you to walk away with two things, either the treatment and the confidence that you were diagnosed with the right bug.
Or you walk out and you're happy because you don't have the infection.
Or you walk out.
So less than the time it takes for me to get a hankering for espresso, walk across the street, and pick it up, I get the diagnosis.
Exactly.
Yeah, and one of the things that at Phoresa we understood earliest in the early stages is that we need to meet all the requirements that doctors would like within a test. Everything from the speed, the sensitivity, and the price that our test has to meet in order for the doctors to actually use it to solve the biggest problem, which is detecting infectious diseases accurately, so patients like us can actually walk away either happy that we got the disease or get the treatment that we really wanted. It's one of the biggest problems that is happening right now with healthcare, right? And that's what we're trying to do at Phoresa, creating a sensitive test for all infectious diseases.
That is totally awesome. Tell me, so we're standing in the laboratory. Tell me a little bit about how you were doing the research. How have you been able to take that from research and an idea to actually making it into a business?
So I guess my CTO, Mark Borysiak, can answer that perfectly. Go ahead, Mark.
So, Mark.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that we've done, so today I think the technology is still very research focused. We're not quite to the stage yet where we're in the full product development stage. But what we've done is we've kind of laid the foundation for forming a business. So there's a lot of things outside of just the research which is required in order to start these businesses. So, and the way that we've done that, I think, is the biggest thing, is just getting out in the community and talking to people throughout Seattle, because Seattle has a very vibrant entrepreneurial community, but it's also very close-knit. So you go talk to one person, they say, hey, you go talk to this person, and then that person tells you go talk to two more people, and you do that a few times, and you essentially know everybody throughout the Seattle community, and everyone's got really good advice. Like you need to figure out your market, you need to go talk to your customers, you need to do this for fundraising. So I'd say the biggest challenge is from going from a research project into a company is all the things that are associated not with the technology, but with the business.
And to piggyback on what Mark is saying is that Phoresa, it started as a science project at the University of Washington. Kind of like as a PhD, you learn how to solve problems. That's why Mark and I, we get our PhDs, right? Because we're excellent problem solvers.
Yeah.
And so when we were doing our PhD at Jonathan Posner's lab here at UW, Mark mainly emphasizes on creating affordable and fast diagnostics for infectious diseases.
Yeah.
We saw this technology that it was developed here at UW, and so that has a potential market and a potential way to impact the community, right? It's something that we've seen us as a scientist being able to convey and translate technology into a commercial product that not only can solve the biggest problem in healthcare, but as well as impact our near community.
Yeah.
When we talk to doctors here in downtown Seattle, we realize that 40% of their population that they actually see they're transient. They don't come back.
Yeah.
It's really hard to reach out to them. So because all their testing is being done at this centralized lab, it's really hard for them to follow up with the patients, to treat the patients, control the spread of the diseases among the Seattle community. And when zoom out, we saw the same problem not only in the US, but at the global scale. So we start thinking about ways that we use our scientific knowledge, right, on this technology that we develop here at UW, and with the support of Commotion, which is the technology transfer office at the University of Washington. We start seeing that having this technology and put it into a medical device, right, that is can meet the needs, the sensitivity needs that doctors are actually looking for, and the affordability and the speed, we can actually impact the community.
So if you're getting this level of affordability and speed, 10-minute diagnoses, is there a point in the future, perhaps not the immediate future, where I could go down to the Bartels if I'm not feeling good?
Yeah, so that is the ultimate goal, is to do over-the-counter sales where you walk into the pharmacy, you spend $5 or $10, you go home, you take the test, and you know your result right away. That's not what we're initially going to do. Our initial goal is to put these tests in all the different clinics. So I'd say something that's very close to that is you walk down to your corner Zoom care where you fill out a form online, you walk in, within 10 or 15 minutes you get your diagnosis, and then you can leave. So I think that's the first step into that sort of testing. But eventually it'd be great if you could walk into the store or the pharmacy and just buy these off the shelf and then do your testing. It
sounds like we're really moving from a centralized model of diagnostics with the big labs to a more decentralized and really personal model.
Yeah, exactly. and Aaron, this technology that we have at Phoresa is not only applicable for the healthcare, human care aspect. Think about your pet, right? Think about the dog that you have at home in your apartment that you really care about, right? Yeah. They actually suffer the same issues that we are suffering as humans. Not having an immediate way to diagnose for whatever disease or pathogen your dog has or your cat, right? Something that we foreseen also Phoresa can tackle. Although Phoresa is a diagnostic company, right? It's an enterprise of diagnosis. Our first market will be humans. Within humans will be infectious diseases. With infectious diseases, we seen sexually transmitted diseases. We also seen these pathogens such as strep, flu.
I'm curious, why is that slice and why are those diseases the first on the list?
That's a really good question, Aaron. Honestly speaking, was because doctors want it. When we went to interview the people that actually need the test to treat the patients, they actually all said that they want to have a test for a strep A that is sensitive and meet all the requirements that the gold standard, the centralized lab meets, as well for chlamydia and gonorrhea. So for the case of chlamydia and gonorrhea, there's not a point of care testing in the market that is meet that expectation that doctors will want at the clinics. So we said, hey, we have that problem, we have the technology can actually do this. How about we take it one step further? How about we tackle this first type of problems and develop this MVP product that can only create traction within the company, but create recognition and start helping the people in the community.
Yeah. And going back to the decentralized care thing that you mentioned, we were essentially trying to take the laboratory tests and just put it in the hands of users so that they can get faster information. So to give a digital comparison, if you have your mobile phone, you can pull it out and you can look up anything almost immediately. But when it comes to healthcare, that's not the case. You walk in, you're waiting 3 days in order to get an answer.
We're still on the mainframe computer model of healthcare.
The library. We were at the library.
Walking down to the library.
The card catalog.
The card catalog, pulling
I
out
remember those. We
disclosing our age.
So it's a very outdated model of the way that the current healthcare detection system is being run, and we're trying to bring it into the 21st century.
Yeah, we're
age, essentially.
Trying to make something small, sensitive, and affordable. That's all we do in Phoresa.
Awesome.